Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage. I'm going to share something a little different with y'all today. I've got a original Hubley kitty toy number 495 folding wing airplane. This particular one is done up in the flying circus colors, and this is exactly like the one I had as a youngster that I played with in Knoxville, probably around 1970. And it is, I would say it's missing its propeller, but it's detached. And I'm sure I can find a way to reattach that. That's not a big deal. What I was real stoked about was the overall condition. This is all original paint. And it's got, a little bit of smuts here, which I think will clean off. And there's a little bit more patina on there than I would like to have seen. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. That kind of ticks me off. Because it wasn't like that in the picture, but I don't think the guy was concealing it. I think that happened during transit. But anyway, only thing I noticed about it, and I'm kind of sharing with you that cool sound they make when you hear the wings fold up. No, it's not going to do it. Maybe the landing gear does it. There we go. That sound. That's the sound I remember. I remember playing with this thing for hours as a youngster, folding and unfolding the wings. Such a cool toy. Yeah, a lot of fond memories. I had a great childhood. My parents bought me a lot of toys. As you can see, a lot of these toys up here, like my Hubley number 882 pickup, the orange one there, the 10 robots, all the Tonka trucks, the 10 wind-up boat. I had a lot of cool toys growing up. A good portion of these toys are the original ones I had as a youngster. Obviously, some of them you go back and buy back later, right? Like that Tonka truck I restored over there. But some of them I've had, I think, my whole life. The Sears Sunray van, still in its original box. There's a Firefox. I bought that one on Evil Bay. I do have an original red one. Not with its original box, but I've had that one the whole time. That Galoob Corvette, as well as that Power Streaker Trans Am. I've had those a long time. That's not the first Cox Dune buggy that I had, but I had one like that around 1975. And I got a purple one up here, and that one's actually been run. I put later model tires on it off of something else, some hobby car or whatever. And it worked out. Anybody that collects that stuff, if anybody's run fuel through them and don't clean them off really good, the tires, they turn into jello. But anyway, I always kind of wondered about this plane because, it's kind of sort of a made-up airplane. Obviously, if you look at the nacelle with the radial engine and the way it's shaped, that's pure P47 Thunderbolt right there. But the folding wings, the Thunderbolt never had folding wings, so that looks very Corsair-ish. So I think when they did this, they must have kind of combined the two. Kind of neat. But hey, let's take it apart and let's just see what makes this thing tick. I'm kind of curious. I got the one wing that fits perfectly, and then this one doesn't. Obviously, I haven't seen one of these in 50 years, so I have no idea what makes it tick. So I'm kind of interested to see how that works. It looks like I just have to take 1, 2, 3, 4 screws off, and I think I got it. So let me get those out. I'll pull the belly off and let's see what's inside. Okay, I got the screws out. I'm going to kind of sort of try to do this one-handed. I'm thinking if I peel it back this way, hopefully parts don't come flying out. Probably should have safety glasses on. Okay, nothing came flying out. Cool. All right, that's just held on. It's got 2 tabs, right? This receives down in there like that. Cool. I guess the other tab gets received right there. Okay. So it looks pretty straightforward. It's got a spring here,
And obviously it's always pulling on the wings right here and squeezing them inward. So I guess this part down here, yeah, you can see how those are wallowed out. That's where the wing's going to cradle in there. Yep. So yeah, I'll carefully pull these out. I don't know if I can do that one-handed or not. Hopefully it doesn't bite me. Oh yeah. Okay. I got those off. I'm going to disconnect the spring, and then I'm just kind of going to do a mock-up in here and see how that fits. Yeah, so just setting them down in there, you can kind of see why that wing would have a tendency to pull inward, you know, because it's always got these springs, the spring here, when it's stretched, just connecting it and pinching it that way. And whoever had this must have loved it and played with it a lot, because they wore away a lot of metal down in there. See how that wallows? And that's why that wing doesn't fit very well. So I'm sure I can do something clever. I can probably go in there and I can try to add some metal. Not quite sure how I'm going to deal with that. You got to be real careful with Zamek, which is basically Matchbox car metal, pot metal. Zamek stands for zinc, aluminum, magnesium, and copper. And that's the same stuff a lot of cheesy car parts are made out of. Like, for example, the always pitted bezels that surround the taillights, like on my 73 Duster. A lot of chrome parts on 50s cars, you know, 57 Chevys, Pontiacs, all that stuff. But that's what that stuff's made out of. And stuff's pretty soft and prone to wear. It's too bad they didn't put a little grease on those at the factory, right? Probably would have been a lifetime fill. Anyway, brings back a lot of cool memories. Had one like this in Knoxville 50-something years ago, 52 years ago as a youngster. And I'll reserve a special spot somewhere over here. Maybe I'll put a new shelf up, maybe above that Camaro picture or something. And yeah, nice piece. Got it for a reasonable price. And yeah, unfortunately, I think the reason that it's got some added patina is the dummy that wrapped this up. He did a really nice job wrapping it up in bubble wrap, but instead of wrapping the propeller up separate, it was laying on top of the airplane, wrapped in the bubble wrap like that. And the plane got lost, so it took like 9 days to get here from New York to Alabama. So it went through several different hubs, and I guess, you know, all the handling and everything gave it extra time to tumble some of the paint off. It kind of pisses me off. But it still looks nice. I'm not going to repaint it. This is too nice to repaint. I'll get that schmutz off, probably, you know, WD-40, whatever. Be careful not to hit it on the decal and ruin that. And I might do something to fix that, or I may just leave it. It's not that big of a deal. The main thing is I'm going to get this propeller reattached. I'm going to have to drill that. Probably put it on my drill press, find the center, drill it, tap it, probably use a machine screw, maybe a little washer or something. Probably just a machine screw would be good enough. And just reattach that propeller. Yep. Yep, that'll come back. Nice. All right, just gonna go in and just finish this. Yep, that looks good. All right. I think I got the whole board out pretty good. Use a 764 drill. Came in there and bored out that hole in that old Hubley propeller. We're going to use a 632 screw, and I've got a, if I can find what I did with it, I've got a 632 tap, and we'll get this prop out of this this drill press and get that tap and see if we can get that propeller reattached. I think we'll be on our way to having this thing at least a sympathetic restoration. Okay, she's drilled and tapped. I don't think I drilled through the nose cone. That's good. And I think I got enough threads in there. I think I got about probably 4 threads in. I may have to trim that screw. And I think we'll get that reattached, no problem. Cool. All right, let's get her back together. And voila! One sympathetically restored P47 Thunder Corsair. Not really a Thunderbolt, not really a Corsair, although if you look at the cowling and the radial engine, that's pure Thunderbolt, right? The folding wings, that's a very Corsair. Speaking of the folding wings, also let's just go back to the landing gear, rolling this over. And while we got it rolled over real quick, just pointing out, they actually do cast the model number on most of the parts, 495 there and there, and I'm sure that was to aid assembly. There might even be 495 inside these parts inside. And also there's 495 cast into the back of the propeller, which is how you can tell if one of these has a replacement prop. There's actually an outfit that makes new ones, and I don't think they cast the 495 on the back of the propeller. There it is right there. Very cool. But hey, just showing you the landing gear again. Boy, the memories come flooding back. Now I tell you what, just taking this and just slowly lowering the landing gear, that sound. I can remember peeping through those holes as a youngster, looking at that big spring and just wondering how that worked. So cool being an adult, right? Or basically being a 56-year-old, 5-year-old, or 12-year-old, or whatever. To actually see how these worked and kind of marvel at the engineering of it, of how they made a toy like this work. Which, they don't really make toys like this anymore. Kind of cool. With it laying over like this, I also remember doing this with the wings. They make that same creaky sound if you go slow enough, I guess. So cool. The memories come flooding back. It is kind of neat having stuff like this from your childhood, especially one that you haven't visited with in a long time. It's been a long time since I've handled one of these airplanes, probably since around 1970, 71. I don't know how long I had the plane as a youngster, but I probably didn't have it past the age of 5 or 6. But I can kind of remember now, after restoring this and playing with it a little bit, my grandfather gave me one just like this when I lived in Knoxville. We were living in the apartments somewhere outside of Knoxville. I think it might have been called Knox County, probably around 1970. And I can remember being outside and running around playing with it, listening to the creaky springs that make it work and all of that. Remember my grandfather, I was very fond of him on my mom's side. Loved him dearly. He always showered me with gifts. He was not a real wealthy person, but he always made sure I was showered with gifts every time I saw him. Usually a trip to Kmart every time they came into town. Kind of cool. But anyway, I remember him talking about the warplanes and how he saw a lot of these during the war. He was in World War II, of course. I guess that kind of dates me a little bit too, right? And just really, I remember that was just really a cool day. And it's like a lot of things as a youngster, you really don't know what happened to the toy. I may have left it outside and somebody got it, or I think the propeller did get broke off of it, kind of like this one was. Maybe it got tossed, who knows. But anyway, it's kind of like having my old plane back, right? Mass produced, right? Every one of them's about the same. Each one probably has a little different personality. But very cool. Just really kind of marvel at it a little bit, the engineering of it, how they make something like that work. And probably how reasonable it was priced back then, right? And made in USA, right? I think it says right in here where it was made. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yep. Interestingly enough, my Starcraft Super Sport vintage lake boat, it's around 1983 vintage, that was also made in Pennsylvania. So I guess they did make a lot of stuff in Pennsylvania at one time. Kind of cool. Hey, I highly recommend, if you find something like this, buy it if you had one as a kid. It's amazing the memories that come flooding back. I basically am a picture person. I like things in 3D, and that definitely is amazing how that unlocks your memory banks to be able to experience something like that again. Very cool. Really enjoyed it. Hey, thanks for taking the trip with me on this one, and maybe we'll see you next week, and maybe we'll do something a little more productive. Take care. Bye-bye.